These are the topics we are going to discuss in today's video, and we are talking about these topics in the context of the following news articles from the Hindu and the Indian Express. The first article says that the India-Japan partnership is set against a larger context of a free, open and rules-based Indo-Pacific, and it will continue to grow according to the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, as both the sides held a fresh edition of 2+2 dialogue amid China's increasing military muscle flexing in the region. In this context, let us talk about Indo-Pacific Economic Framework, in short called the IPEF. So what is IPEF? See, the Indo-Pacific Economic Framework was launched jointly by the United States and other partner countries of the Indo-Pacific region in the year 2022. Significantly, it seeks to strengthen economic partnerships among the participating countries with the objective of enhancing resilience, sustainability, inclusiveness, economic growth, fairness, and competitiveness in the region. Now, who are all the members of this IPEF? See, the 14 members of the IPEF are Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Fiji, India, Indonesia, Japan, the Republic of Korea, Malaysia, New Zealand, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. Further, know that it has the following pillars, which are trade, supply chains, clean energy, decarbonization and infrastructure, and lastly, tax and anti-corruption. Notably, the IPEF is designed to be flexible, meaning that the IPEF partners are not required to join all the 4 pillars. Know that India had joined the pillars 2 to 4 of the IPEF, while it has an observer status in the pillar 1. So recently, India is elected as the Vice Chair of the Supply Chain Council. The next article says that a case of vaccine-derived polio is suspected in a 2-year-old child at Tikrikilla in West Garo Hills district of Meghalaya. Further, a senior Union Health Ministry official said that this was not a case of wild polio, but an infection some people with a low immunity acquired. In this context, let us try to discuss various aspects related to polio. See, poliomyelitis or the polio is a highly infectious viral disease that largely affects children under the 5 years of age. Know that the virus is transmitted by person to person, spread mainly through the fecal-oral route or less frequently by a common vehicle like the contaminated food or water, and multiplies in the intestine from where it can invade the nervous system and cause paralysis. Further, polio typically affects the children aged 5 years or younger. It can result in muscle weakness, permanent disability, and even death. Notably, there is no cure for polio, but there are safe, effective vaccines that, given multiple times, protect a child for life. Now, if we have to talk about its symptoms, firstly, most people with polio do not feel sick. Know that some people have only minor symptoms such as a fever, tiredness, nausea, headache, pain in the arms and legs, etc. But in the rare cases, polio causes a permanent loss of muscle function, which is nothing but the paralysis. Most importantly, polio can be fatal if the muscles used for breathing are paralyzed or if there is an infection of the brain. See, there are 2 vaccines available for polio. The first one is oral polio vaccine, which is given orally as a bird dose for the institutional deliveries, then primary 3 doses at 6, 10 and 14 weeks, and 1 booster dose at 16 to 14 months of age. Then the second one is injectable polio vaccine, which is introduced as an additional dose along with the 3rd dose of DPT vaccine under the Universal Immunization Program. Now, if you have to talk about polio in the Indian context, India received the polio-free certificate from the World Health Organization in the year 2014 after 3 years of 0 cases. Significantly, this achievement has been spurred by the successful Pulse Polio campaign in which all children were administered polio drops. Know that the last case due to wild polio virus in the country was detected on 13th of January 2011. The third article of the day says that India and Malaysia decided to upgrade ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership on Tuesday during the talks between the Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi and Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim as a part of a visit aimed at moving beyond several years of tensions. In this context, let us talk about BRICS. See, BRICS is an acronym for the grouping of the world's leading emerging economies, namely Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Now, if we have to talk about the formation of BRICS, see, the grouping was first informally formed due to a meeting of the leaders of Brazil, Russia, India, and China on the sidelines of the G8 Outreach Summit in St. Petersburg of Russia in the year 2006. Then later, this was formalized during the first BRIC foreign ministers meeting in the New York in 2006. Further, in the year 2009, the inaugural BRIC summit took place in Russia. Then, in the following year in 2010, South Africa joined to form the group known as BRICS. Notably, during the 6th BRICS summit in Fortaleza, the leaders signed the agreement of establishing the new development bank. Know that the group was designed to bring together world's most important developing economies to challenge the political and economic power of the wealthier nations of the North America and the Western Europe. Lastly, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates were invited to become the members with effect from 1st January 2024. The next article says that the European scientists were due to attempt a first in orbital gymnastics late on August 19th, tapping into the gravity of the Earth in quick succession to guide the JUICE probe towards the Jupiter in the first ever double slingshot maneuver. Further, just over the year after it was launched, the European Space Agency's Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, in short called the JUICE, is returning towards the Earth on August 19th and 20 and will use the braking effect of its gravity to take a shortcut to Venus onwards to Jupiter. In this context, let us talk about the JUICE mission. See, according to the ESA's website, the JUICE will make detailed observations of the giant gas planet and its three large ocean-bearing moons, which are Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa. This is done by using remote sensing, geophysical, and in situ instruments. Significantly, the JUICE will be the Europe's first dedicated robotic mission to Jupiter. Know that JUICE is due to reach the planet in July 2031 after performing an incredible flight path through the solar system. So, the mission will enter into the orbit around the Jupiter and perform numerous flybys of its large icy moons, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. Next, after 4 years of the moon flybys, JUICE will then enter into the orbit around the Ganymede, which is the largest moon in the solar system, becoming the first spacecraft ever to reach the orbit around the moon of another planet. Although the mission will examine 3 moons, the main focus will be on Ganymede, as it is the largest moon in the solar system, which is larger than even Pluto and Mercury, and it is the only one to generate its own magnetic field. However, JUICE isn't equipped to detect life. What it is capable of is finding out whether there could be places around the Jupiter inside the icy moons where the necessary conditions such as water, biological essential elements, energy, and stability to sustain the life are present. The next article says that the Reserve Bank of India's inflation targeting regime has worked out well, and abandoning it for a more discretionary regime could be risky and also counterproductive, according to 2 economists' argument in a new research paper. In this context, let us talk about inflation, then about CPI and WPI. See, inflation is sustained increase in the general price level of the goods and services in an economy over time. So, it results in the decrease in the purchasing power of a currency. Significantly, there are 2 main indicators of inflation measures in India, which are the Wholesale Price Index, in short called the WPI, and the Consumer Price Index, in short called the CPI. Firstly, talking about the CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, see, it measures the price changes from the perspective of a retail buyer. Know that it is released by the National Statistical Office. Further, the CPI calculates the difference in the price of commodities and services such as food, medical care, education, electronics, etc., which Indian consumers buy for use. Also, the CPI has several subgroups including the food and beverages, fuel and light, housing and clothing, bedding and footwear. Know that the Monetary Policy Committee uses the CPI data to control inflation. Notably, in April 2014, the Reserve Bank of India has adopted the CPI as its key measure of inflation. Now, if we have to talk about the Wholesale Price Index, See, it measures the changes in the prices of goods sold and traded in bulk by the wholesale businesses to other businesses. Know that it is calculated and published by the Office of Economic Advisor under the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Also, WPI data is published monthly with the index value representing an estimate of the price level for the month as a whole rather than a specific date. We can say that it is most widely used inflation indicator in India. However, the major criticism of this index is that general public does not buy the products at the wholesale price. Notably, the base year of all India WPI has been revised from 2004-5 to 2011 and 12 in the year 2017. Further, an upward surge in the WPI indicates inflationary pressure in the economy and vice versa. Now, how do you calculate WPI at all? See, it is calculated by taking the weighted average of the prices of a basket of goods with each item's weight determined by its share of total wholesale sales. But what does this basket comprise of? See, the basket of goods comprises three major groups, which are primary articles weighing to 22.62%, fuel and power weighing to 13.15%, manufactured products weighing to 64.23%. The next article says that AIIMS Delhi issued an advisory on handling suspected patients of monkeypox. In this context, let's talk about various aspects related to the monkeypox. So, what is monkeypox? See, it is a viral zoonotic disease, which means that it's transmitted from animals to humans and is identified as a pox-like disease among the monkeys. Hence, it is named as a monkeypox. Know that the monkeypox virus is an orthopox virus, which is the genus of the viruses that also includes the variola virus, which causes smallpox. Further, it causes fever, enlarged lymph nodes, and a painful rash that forms blisters and then crusts away. Though self-limiting, it can lead to the death, especially among the children and those with weak immune systems. Now, how does it spread? See, monkeypox spreads from person to person through close contact with someone who has a rash, including face-to-face, skin-to-skin, mouth-to-mouth, or mouth-to-skin contact, including sexual contact. Then, if we have to talk about its symptoms, the first invasion period between the 0 to 5 days is characterized by fever, headache, and lymph node swelling. The last, a telltale sign. Notably, skin eruptions show up within 2 days of fever. Know that the rash is more concentrated on the face but can also be found in the palm and sole of the feet. Significantly, it affects the oral mucous membrane, the conjunctiva, cornea of the eye, and the genital area. Now, what is the test for monkeypox? See, since these are DNA viruses, we need a PCR test. Lastly, remember that there is no effective vaccine available for the monkeypox infection. The last article of the day says that a war over the interpretation of what a telecommunication service is under the new Telecommunication Act has broken out between the telecom operators and the social media companies, with the former arguing over the OTT communication platforms like the WhatsApp and Google Meet are indeed covered under the definition of a telecom service. In this context, let us talk about the Telecommunication Act of 2023. See, the Telecommunication Act of 2023 aims to amend and consolidate the law relating to development, expansion, and the operation of the telecommunication services and telecommunication networks, assignment of spectrum, and for matters connected therewith. Further, the Telecommunication Act of 2023 also seeks to repeal existing legislative frameworks like the Indian Telegraph Act of 1885 and the Indian Wireless Telegraph Act of 1933, owing to huge technical advancements in the telecom sector and technologies. Know that it is guided by the principle of Samavesh, which means inclusion, Suraksha, which means security, Vriddhi, which means growth, and Tvarit, which means responsiveness. Means the act aims to achieve the vision of Viksit Bharat. Then, talking about the salient features of the sections that have been brought into force are firstly, the act provides legal framework for the efficient utilization of scarce spectrum through the processes such as secondary assignment, sharing, trading, leasing, and surrender of spectrum. Further, it also enables a utilization of spectrum in a flexible, liberalized, and technologically neutral manner. Know that it also empowers the central government to establish an enforcement and monitoring mechanism for the purpose. Secondly, the Act prescribes with immediate effect the use of any equipment which blocks the telecommunication unless permitted by the central government. Lastly, Section 59B of the Act will amend the Section 4 of the TIAA Act of 1997 and prescribes criteria for the appointment of chairperson and members of TRAI. So in this video, we have discussed 7 articles in total from the Hindu and Indian Express from the UPSC CSIR prelims perspective. We'll be back again tomorrow with another video. Thank you.